Okay, unless your name is Robert Thomas, you cannot say you've been the best player in the NHL since the Four Nations Faceoff. Nick Suzuki, I'm looking your direction. We're going to talk a lot about the Habs today. What a performance by Nick Suzuki yesterday. By the way, it looks like he'll be on the program next week. I want to say Wednesday. Chances are he'll still be the best player in the NHL by then, right now. I know Nikita Kucherov. I know, sit down. Again, Robert Thomas, friend of the show, former teammate to Philly back in the old YSE days. But, like, honestly, Zach, after watching last night's performance, and I know, Reinhardt this, Reinhardt that, I get it. Like, do you not say that, like, right now, since the Four Nations, Nick Suzuki has been the best player in the NHL, period? Robert Thomas has been great. Nikita Kucherov has been awesome. Buddy, Nick Suzuki's it, no?
I'm still giving the edge to Robert Thomas.
Based on?
Look, part of the problem here... part of the problem...
I love him too. I think Robert Thomas is awesome. He's a great player. He's got a great family. He's got a great story. The Blues are the hottest team in the NHL. Beat Detroit last night, 10 wins in a row. Nobody wants to go near these guys. WC1 in the West. But dude, like, Suzuki's been incredible.
I know. And you know what too? They're both kind of in that similar position where it's like they're the 1 seed. They're on a team that was pushing outside of a playoff spot. They're both on these unbelievable heaters with their teams.
Yeah.
I'm still going Robert Thomas.
Listen.
Kudos to you, Nick
that.
Suzuki. All the credit in the world, but
I love me some Robert Thomas. I love me some Robert Thomas. Okay, so here's one quick point. We had a lot to get to today, and we're going to get to daily outlines here in a couple of seconds. And Jonny Lazarus is going to stop by in a couple of seconds as well. And we have a new partner to welcome to the program as well that we're going to get to a little bit later on. And this feature involves the Inbox, which has a new title to it as well. And we got games tonight. And Ovechkin's scoring more goals. But you look at that crowd last night in Montreal. Again, I don't cheer for teams. I cheer for great moments. I cheer for people that I want to do well, etc. And I don't know, man, but did that not feel like a playoff crowd in Montreal? I know you've never been outside the borders of Ontario. I understand that. But, like, even just watching that, like you, who have never been there before, for that experience, and I know you're a Maple Leafs fan, but do you not get that, like, amazing hockey tingly feeling when you see that in Montreal and hear that in Montreal? Come on, man. You don't want that in the playoffs? I do all day long. All day long.
Yeah, I do. As someone who is a fan of hockey, I want that there. As a Leafs fan, I mean, they could stay outside the playoffs, and Laz's Rangers can get in, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'll be a Laz supporter here until then. But yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying. That place is unbelievable. How loud it was. Nick Suzuki, the tying goal, like, it sounded like the roof was gonna come off the place. It's electric, and there's no place like that. It sucks to say, but there's no. I mean, for some people it sucks to say, but there's no place like that. It's incredible. And, like, we got that hint of it. Like, you've seen it before, but then they were robbed of it on the cup run in the bubble. You got the hint of it there in the Four Nations where it was like, wow, this is what this place could be like. It was like a tease. And then all of a sudden the Habs come out of the Four Nations. And,
I don't know. Even
the fan base and they just work back and forth off of each other, and now it's an unstoppable force.
Eric Engels was on Morning Cup of Hockey. By the way, can we change the name of the show to Afternoon Cup of Hockey? Can we just can we move to change all the branding? Can we just call that and just create like create the total synergy between the two and just like completely ravage their chat and take everybody from their chat and bring them over here. Afternoon Cup of Hockey. I think it has a real ring to it. What do you think? And then maybe DFO Live can be like Midday Cup of Hockey. Just really capture the Cup of Hockey space and really own that. Like, really, you got to drill in this new media environment. You got to find out who you are and drill down on it, Zach. Maybe we just turn this show into Afternoon Cup of Hockey. Anyhow, that was fantastic last night. That really was tremendous. And Nick Suzuki's coming aboard here sometime next week. Also, on Monday, So Friday we have Brian Burke. On Monday we're going to have Patrick Burke from the NHL's Department of Player Safety. Also works very closely with everybody involved in the All-Star festivities. And one of the things we're going to talk about with Patrick on Monday is the best or some of the best ideas that never made it into the All-Star skills competition. The ideas that were rejected. You know how we always talk about the trades that never happened? How about like the All-Star events that never happened? We'll do that on the show on Monday. In the meantime, we have a lot to get to today, and we want to get to our first guest. The Daily Outline is, as always, presented by FanDuel, powered by FanDuel. Make every moment more with North America's #1 sports book. That is FanDuel, our friends and our presenters here on the program. Coming up on the show today, we do have a lot to get to, and I want to do a sort of side-by-side between one of my favorite long fights and then that Viel McIlrath fight that we saw last night. Jonny Lazarus from Morning Cup of Hockey is going to stop by. We will get into some Rangers talk, I'm sure. We'll talk plenty about the Montreal Canadiens. We should probably talk about coaches as well with John Laz. La belle Provence, comme on dit en français, ça c'est bien. We will talk about the Montreal Canadiens. We'll talk about the New York Rangers, as I guess like Montreal is now the belle of the ball for that wild card spot, but don't sleep on the Rangers, as Jonny Lazarus will tell us here in a couple of moments. And a few things I want to pull out of the blog. You can have a peek at it at dailyfaceoff.com, mainly around coaches. For whatever reason, I was thinking about coaches on the weekend and sort of, made some phone calls and jotted down some thoughts, and we'll see what we can drag out on today's program. In the meantime, today's program now punctuated by the one and only Jonny Lazarus, who joins me now on the sheet. Laz, how are you? And what do you think of the idea, by the way, of changing the name of the show to Afternoon Cup of Hockey?
I was actually laughing my ass off behind the scenes listening to you guys talk about that. Well, because Jeff, it's funny. Like when we first came up with the name, I loved it. Yeah. Like now when I tell people I host a show and they're like, "What's it called?" and I'm like, "Morning Cup of Hockey," I feel like I sound like an idiot. Like you know what I mean? Like it's saying
different.
Like cuppa. Like
yeah, cuppa.
I know it's different, but like I don't know. I feel like it just sounds a little goofy. But I guess that's like my personality, and me and Colby, I think, have made it work. But I was cracking up at the Afternoon Cup of Hockey.
Whose idea? I'm just going to call it like the sheet, your Afternoon Cup of Hockey.
I'm the creative.
Okay.
Anything creative on the show is from me. Anything smart from the show is Colby. And then anything that's pretty and anything's pretty from the show is Nick.
Anything that's like venomous comes from Colby. Anything that's like, slander or insulting, that all comes from Colby and your sunshine and lollipops.
Usually,
really
I got
good.
one thing though, actually. Speaking
What's
of
up?
Colby.
Yeah.
I'm gonna challenge your best player since Four Nations.
Okay.
And I feel like I have Colby's voice in my head.
All right.
Lane Hudson.
Oh God, yeah. I know. It's interesting too, because for me the race isn't between Lane Hudson and Macklin Celebrini. It's Lane Hudson and Dustin Wolf.
Yeah. That's what it seems to be now.
Again,
and
we're
obviously
like
the Mitchkov fans are.
I know, but I know, but you're like, okay, so you've just arrived here. You just arrived here like 5 minutes ago in the Calder conversation. Let's just cool our thumbs here a little bit. Like Mitchkov had a lot of, even outside of the relationship with John Tortorella, like anyone in the Flyers organization will tell you, like he had a lot of stuff to work out to get him to this point. It wasn't as if if Brad Shaw was coaching the team at the beginning of the season, that Matvei Mitchkov would be running away with the call. That guy had a lot of stuff to fix, whether it was pace, whether it was playing on the smaller surface, like all these things. And he's done it. He's improved himself. I would make the argument that John Tortorella, as painful as it may have been for Michkov along the way, really helped turn Michkov into the player that he is now. I mean, how many times, Laz, have you seen players say like, yeah, you know what, I'm at this height because I had a coach that at the time I really didn't like him, but I realized at the end of it what he had done for me. There's an old saying about Scotty Bowman. Maybe the greatest coach of all time, Scotty Bowman. They used to always say, 364 days of the year, all the players hated Scotty Bowman, and then on day 365, they got their rings. That's the old saying about Scotty Bowman. So I would still maintain, like, to the point about Michkov, Tortorella helped him get there. He had a lot of stuff to clean up in his game to get to the place where now it's like, oh, yeah, he's snapping into assists last night. It's a 2+2 day. Like, Torts helped this guy. Let's make no mistake about it.
I fully agree, and I only bring up his name because I am sick and tired of having this conversation and not saying Matvei Michkov, and then having people DM me or tweet at me saying, "Why won't you bring up Michkov?" they get so angry. They're so defensive over him. And listen, that's why you got to love the Philly sports fans, right? Like, you know what they are and you know how passionate they are. And it's the one thing they have to cheer for right now.
That is true. Now, to the point about Hudson, like, I'm voting today, right now, when the show goes off the air, Lane Hudson has my call to vote.
Yeah.
Lane Hudson does. Like, what he's doing is outstanding for the Habs here. Taking nothing away at all from Macklin Celebrini. It's not an either or conversation. Like, you're both beautiful. It's okay. We love you both. It's all right. But like, Lane Hudson is next level. I want to get to Rangers in a couple of seconds here, but great job with Eric Engels, one of my favorites from the old shop.
Thank you.
Love Engels. Traveled with him, worked with him. Wonderful guy. Like, when you look at Montreal now, a couple of things spring to mind. One, we're giving the Jack Adams to Spencer Carberry in Washington, but where's Marty St. Louis in all of this? Lane Hudson for the call. They're cool with that. Nick Suzuki is turning himself into Bergeron light. And they're getting, really good goaltending performances. Samuel Montembeault, Jakub Dobeš, like, they're getting good. Like, but when you see the Habs, like, what stands out for you? For me, it's Suzuki, Slavkovsky, but like, who does it for you, or what does it for you?
Oh man, I mean, there's a lot there. Honestly, one of the weirder things too that I've been trying to figure out, the same thing is happening this year that happened last year with that line getting hot, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, and Caulfield, right? Like, the second half of the year, they were the best line in hockey, and the same thing's happening again. Like, I think Slavkovsky had 2 goals maybe before Four Nations. I think he's at like 18 now. Yeah, like, what's going on with this team? The second half of the year, they just explode. I don't know what it is. Obviously Patrick Laine coming back and being healthy has obviously sparked them too on the power play. Montembeault, the beginning of the year he's obviously not been as consistent throughout the entire season. But I think his play has been good enough to help them win. One name that you haven't been hearing enough about, or at least lately, like, I haven't really heard Arbor Jackey's name that much lately. Like, is he just not, I don't watch every Canadiens game.
Yeah, he's not.
I feel like in the beginning of the year, he was doing something crazy every single night. And I think, it seems like he's toned it down a bit.
You know who I thought you were going to say there? And it's a name that I did want to get to because, all season long we've been wondering, oh boy, is he just headed for the buyout in the offseason? Josh Anderson's got 14 goals.
Yeah.
And you know what a guy like that means for a team in the playoffs. Like, I know it hasn't been, the best of all possible situations with Josh Anderson in Montreal, but I don't know, man. Like, all season long, we've been wondering, okay, so what's the future with Josh Anderson in Montreal? Guys like that don't come around. And he's one of the things I always love mentioning about Josh Anderson is, he's one of only like 3 guys in the history of the NHL to have fought both Zdeno Chara and Milan Lucic. I think it's only 3 that have done that, but he's one of them. He's fearless. He's got a big body. Yeah. Every time he plays Zach's team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, he turns into the ghost of Rocket Richard. I mean, if Montreal played 82 games against Toronto, we'd put this guy in the Hall of Fame. I thought you were going to say Josh Anderson. I really did.
Well, just to add to that sentiment too, like, I don't remember what month it was. It was earlier in the year, obviously, because Jacob Trouba was still here, but Trouba laid a huge hit on Justin Barron in Montreal earlier in the season, and the guy who answered for it, center ice MSG, Josh Anderson. And I think he beat the wheels off Trouba, honestly. Like, Trouba had to like hold himself together in that fight. But like, listen, whether guys want to say it or not, everyone's aware when number 8 in blue and white was out on the ice, when Jacob Trouba was here. They kept their heads up, I think, or at least tried to, or at least thought about it. And for Anderson to step up and fight him, like, that's not an easy task. And, that's a guy you love having on your team. And I think he's a guy that every, organization would want on their team.
It's interesting. He's 5.5 on the AAV. It's a very reasonable number. They've given him 14 goals, and we'll see what happens if the Montreal Canadiens can make it into the playoffs. And if they do, it'll be to the chagrin of the New York Rangers. I know that Montreal is like the new shiny toy here in the wild card conversation, but can you make the case for the Rangers
to be in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if there's one thing about the New York Rangers, it's Igor Shesterkin. He's been unbelievable. I know, this past stretch, the Anaheim game was tough. I don't necessarily put the blame on him. I was at that game too. And I will say the people in Anaheim, the PR team, the social media team, the players, like, that is one of the most like chill organizations I've ever been around.
Yeah.
I got to go to their morning skate and just like hang around the guys, like talk to Frankie Vitrano, talk to Zegers, talk to Trouba, and like everyone was just like so happy. That's a team that I'm like now rooting for. But if I am playing against the Rangers, if they get in the playoffs, like Igor Shesterkin, he is the problem again, though. Like he faces so many chances and so many shots any given night. And that's where it's like, I'll always take his side when it comes to the $11.5 million contract, because everyone's like, if you're going to make that much money, you better make that save. Well, guess what? He's making that much money because he has to make those saves every time in every game, because he's just seeing slot shot after slot shot after slot shot that not every other goalie in the NHL sees.
Quick aside on Shesterkin. I don't know that I've seen, and like there are smarter goalie people, like Kevin Woodley, if you're listening / watching, correct me on this one. I don't know that I've seen in the NHL right now a goalie who better anticipates a shot than Igor Shesterkin. Like it's freaky. I think a lot, like whenever I talk to goalie people, they'll always say like Shesterkin, as far as a skating goalie goes, he's the best. And we never see him put an accent on like how well a goaltender skates. Shesterkin's the best. He's the best skating goaltender, and he anticipates better than anybody else, at least from these naive eyes.
And one thing I will say, just to like get back to the question, if I'm outside, even honestly, even the people in New York right now, even Rangers fans, I think 95% of people would tell you they'd rather see Montreal get that spot than the Rangers. And I'm saying that as a Ranger fan, and I think most Ranger fans would actually agree with me. Montreal deserves it more than the Rangers do.
But okay, first of all, quick pause. Ali Quinn in the chat. This is awesome. I know Marek loves Shesterkin's hips. So I have this thing. Okay, let me just break with this for 1 second. Let me just level with everybody here. I got this thing about Russian goaltenders' hips.
Okay. Dude. Colby's in the chat too. Great.
Okay. So here's my thing about Russian. So Ali's right on this. Ali pays attention. So my thing about Russian goaltenders' hips, like I look at goaltenders around the posts, and I swear that they don't have hips. You know how like some like runway models will remove a rib to make themselves look like even leaner, and you go, I can't say I do. Missing a rib, they're missing a rib, and then but I look at Russian goalies, and I've asked Woodley about this too. Like there's just something physiological about their anatomy that it makes it look like they don't have hips, and that's why they're able like to move around watch like Sorokin, Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, like watch all of them. Their post play is like no one else in the NHL. It's freaky. Like I'll look at to Ali's point, like I'll watch Shesterkin and go, he has no hips. I don't get it. It's freakish. It's one of the weirdest things in the NHL to me is Russian goaltenders post play. It's bizarre. Anyway, that's just my aside. Ali Quinn. Tangent? Yeah. Ali's right. Yeah, I got to think about Russian hips. I guess. Weird. Okay. Guilty.
Yeah. I can't say that I have the same feeling or emotion toward it.
You want to talk about Russians' hips or Swedish knees or Finnish shoulders? Anything jumping out at you? Canadian wrists? Anything jumping out at you? You notice about anyone from various countries?
No,
I don't know.
I can't say anything does. No, I can't.
Belarusian ankles? Anything? No, nothing. Okay. Well, Russian hips and goaltenders for me. Anyhow, where were we?
I actually have no idea.
Oh yeah, you were making the case. You were making the case for the New York Rangers, and then Ali got me talking about the Russian hips around posts.
Well, I was actually making the case against them, to be honest.
Okay, very good. Elsewhere around the NHL, let me ask you about. You had Tarek Al-Bashir on, who's one of my favorites. I love him, and the Washington Capitals. A little bit later on, I want to make a couple of points about Protas. But in the meantime, I mean, the story is Alex Ovechkin. I've made the point that and you and I will disagree on this one, just like you got tag teamed with Pat Maroon and Colby Cohen about this one. I don't know that any goaltender wants to go into the Hockey Hall of Fame with their picture with Alex Ovechkin celebrating, but nonetheless, I think that there's probably some e-bugs out there that would think that would be really, really cool. But just do you have like a general thought on Ovechkin? Like you're younger than me, so I'm curious what you think about this record, because I've kind of equated it to when I was a kid growing up. My dad would always tell me Terry Sawchuk's 103 shutout record will never be broken, and then Marty Brodeur came along, and it was like, oh, that's awesome. But like, where does this rank amongst your like? I'm growing up and I'm watching this guy, fill the net, and now he's gonna knock down, another record that a lot of people said would never be broken again. Specifically when we were going through the dead puck era in the NHL.
Well, this is going to piss Jeremiah off for sure. I think the tough thing about it is that like Ovi will be the greatest goal scorer of all time.
Yes.
But I think when we still talk about greatest players, like I don't know where he falls. You know, I really don't. And that's I'm not trying to take any credit away from Ovi. Like he's been one of the most fun, electrifying players to watch. Like my entire middle school and high school years, the Rangers were playing against the Capitals, and I like hated him. You know, as a young fan, I hated him. Just like I hated Crosby. Like just like I hated anyone the Rangers played against when I was a kid. Like that's just how you're programmed as a fan. And now, like when you get older and you play at a higher level, you obviously get more appreciation for what these guys are able to do. Like I could barely score a goal in the North American League. Like watching this guy score 800 plus goals in the NHL, like I'm just amazed by it. But I think that's going to be the next argument, right? Like once Ovi does break this record, it's like, oh, well, is he now a Mount Rushmore player? And it's hard to make that case.
Hard to say no. It's hard. I think it's hard to say no.
It's hard to say yes, but it's hard to say yes.
For me, it's hard to say because like the job of like the job of hockey is to put that little round black thing over the red line. Like that's hockey. But that's again, what hockey is.
But let's talk about goaltenders too, because Fleury's second all time in wins.
Mm-hmm. Wins is a team record though. That's a team stat. Like goal, okay. I know you can make the point too that no one's just scoring goals on their own, but like goals. Like, put it this way: goals against average is a team stat. Mm-hmm. Save percentage, although as faulty as it might be, is more of a goalie stat. But like goals, and the thing about Ovechkin too that still kills me is, and you played like I was always told that when you get to the NHL, you can't blow pucks past goaltenders. You can't. Mm-hmm. You cannot do it. Now, I know that Ovechkin is very precise in his shooting, but I mean, we've all seen him just blow pucks past goalies. I was told you could never do that. And here he is. He's blowing pucks past goalies.
I'm going to the chat right now to see what Jeremiah reacted, how he reacted. We've been fighting about this all year. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of people in the chat today. It's buzzing right now.
It's good.
Trying to see what he said.
It's good.
But again, are you confident in saying that like you think everyone would agree that Alexander Ovechkin is a Mount Rushmore NHL player?
It's going to be hard to say no when he's got the most goals of all
but
time, man. To me, the question is, who does he take off? First of all, who do you have on there? And then secondly, who does he take off?
I'm putting Sid there over him.
See, that's going to be the big debate from this era, right? But the thing is, like the Mount Rushmore always changes. Like there was a while, like there was like I don't know, like 10 years ago or so, like my own personal Mount Rushmore, I took Bobby Orr off and put Nick Lidstrom on. To me, he's the greatest defenseman of all time. And when I say that in Canada, I know it's just like scooping him up. Now I know if we had, sophisticated medicine back in the 60s, 70s like we do now, Bobby Orr's career would have been extended. But still, like I don't know that I've seen a better defenseman overall for as long as Nick Lidstrom played in the NHL. But still, like to me, the Mount Rushmore always changes and is always evolving. Old timers will put Eddie Shore on there, but nonetheless,
well, that's the thing too. I tweeted a clip of like Cale Makar from like a couple of years ago, like 2 weeks ago, that actually blew, like people were commenting on it all the time, like go watch a clip of Bobby Orr and tell me that Cale Makar is the best defenseman of all time. And I was like, well, I don't actually have clips of Bobby Orr because it's so damn old, so I don't know where to even
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about here in this one, Canadians hate hearing because it disqualifies a lot of people automatically. In 1967, the NHL doubled. In 1970, there was expansion. In 72, there was expansion. In 74, there was a whole new league. You can make the argument, we'll end it on this one. You can make the argument that all those players in that era, sorry Bobby Orr fans, sorry Phil Esposito fans, is that they were the best when the NHL was at its weakest.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I wasn't around to watch those guys play. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I can't speak to it. I wasn't around.
So, Tommy T, from one-way models to Mount Rushmore, we're rolling. We are rolling.
That's how the sheet works, right?
That's how the sheet works. And I know you got a roll too. Listen, I appreciate you popping by and hopping on here with me. Any closing thoughts? I understand you got a great clip from Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yes, well, that's where Pat and Colby dunked on me the other day. Again, I told Colby and Pat, like, I wasn't the most competitive guy. Like, that's why I never made it in my hockey career. I wasn't out there to like be a killer to prove that I was the best. I was out there having a good time. That's what I do in my media career. I just try to have a good time and make people laugh and talk about the game. But yeah, Pat and Kobe dunked on me the other day, and that turned into like a funny clip on social. And then, we were talking about, what a goalie would feel like to be a part of history, being the one to allow that 895th goal, because it's going to happen. It's going to be somebody. So we're going to have to ask them their thoughts when it does happen.
Is it?
I mean, eventually, at some point. I think it's going to be this year.
So if it's an empty net, then does that net go into the Hockey Hall of Fame?
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Who turned the puck over? Yeah, that player, right? Someone turned it over.
Okay, so here, so it's a okay. Let me give you a scenario here. So Ryan Leonard and Alex Ovechkin are on a 2-on-0 on a 2 versus empty net. Ryan Leonard doesn't have his first goal in the NHL yet. Ovechkin's got the puck. He passes it to Ryan Leonard. Now, what's on the line is the Gretzky record. Ovechkin scores, he gets the record. Leonard scores, he gets his first goal in the NHL. You're Ryan Leonard. Ovechkin has just passed the puck to you. Do you shoot or do you pass it back to Ovi?
Jeff, this is the easiest answer of all time. Why would Ryan Leonard shoot that puck? He'd get
because Ovechkin is given because maybe in his mind he's thinking Ovechkin's given me this puck because he doesn't want the record breaker to be on an empty net. Do you give it back?
Well, guess what?
Him?
I think I'm not going to speak for Ryan Leonard. If that's me getting the puck from Ovechkin, I'd rather the team go the other way and score the goal and tie the game than be the guy who took away the record-breaking goal from Alexander Ovechkin. And why would Ryan Leonard want his first NHL goal to be an empty netter too?
Why not? Just take it. Whatever, man. You tell me like. Even just to get that first one out of the way, and it's an assist from Alexander Ovechkin, take that all day long.
You pass that puck back 11 out of 10 times. There's no way I'm putting that in the net. No way. I'd actually probably miss on purpose.
Fire it over the net, just sizzle one wide.
I don't even know. Yeah, there's no way.
2-on-0 on an empty net, and you dump it in the corner. Oh, it's coach wants me to do. Keep the puck in safe places. You're the best, pal.
What did about that? Appreciate you.
Let's see. Here we go. J-Rock says, I stop, look at Ovi, and shake my head and slide it back to him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, you kicking me off now?
Yeah. You got a punt? I thought you had to punt.
What do you mean?
You got to take off? Or you got a couple more minutes?
Yeah,
I want to ask you about coaches. You got to take off?
I got two.
Okay,
minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, so a little bit later on, I'm going to talk about coaches here on the on the program. As from a person, I'm leading the witness because I know where this one is going. Your favorite coach of all time, whoever coached you, is who?
John LaFontaine, Pat's brother.
Why?
John LaFontaine basically was the first coach not to necessarily like punish me, but he was hard on me in like a caring way. I knew it was genuine. He would scratch me earlier in the year, but he would tell me it's for my own good. It wasn't like he was out to get me. I never felt like he was out to get me. And there were moments of weakness where I was like, I need to go somewhere where I'm going to play. And like, I'm not committed. I'm not talking to colleges. Like, I actually considered going to like the Merit Centennials in the BCHL and leaving the North American League because I got scratched like 2 games in a row when I knew like, I think Penn State was there watching and I had like just talked to them the year before and I got scratched that game. I was pissed. But John also like, okay, here's actually my favorite John LaFontaine story. He comes up to me my first year junior one game, and this is obviously anyone who knows me knows the story, is so believable and predictable. But he came up to me and said, like, hey, listen, like, I think you should drop the gloves. Your teammates, I think they would respect you for it. You're playing the game a little bit soft right now, and I know you're not one to get your nose dirty. Like, I think you should do it. He basically called me, a BITCH without saying it. Which was very kind of him to put it nicely. So the next game, Cam Knight, one of our defensemen, gets hit from behind. I, reactingly dropped my gloves, fought. I held my own. I don't think I lost it, but the way I felt after it was like something I hadn't felt before, right? Like it's a different kind of feeling that you get from your teammates. And, now I can now speak on like what players feel when they're on a new team or, kind of get that respect from a teammate when they actually drop the gloves. And listen, I didn't do it at the NHL level, but, that feeling of fighting it's different. And I thought about myself in like a tougher way after that. Like everyone knows I'm a soft, sensitive, puppy, I guess, as Colby says. But in that moment, like you kind of feel like you're tougher than you actually are in your own skin. And John was the first one to really kind of, get that out of me. And my coach, Bob Thornton, my senior in high school, always called me Nice Laz. He said I had to get meaner, like I was like Gordon in dodgeball. You gotta get angry. You gotta get mean. Like that was me, So, LaFontaine, yeah. And actually, I ended up seeing him on the ice at the 2023 Stanley Cup Final. His daughter's married to Teddy Bluger. I hadn't seen John since I played for him. And we're on the ice at the Cup Final, and I like just saw him. I was like, John, love, what are you doing here? But that was great. That's awesome. Thank you for letting me tell that story.
Dude, I absolutely love that. My final question for you, I know, and in the chat, who was it that said, yeah, to Jeff? Oh yeah, Camp DeMamp says 2 minutes to Jeff is 10 minutes to everybody else. How many times? I'm just going to do this one to you as you've done before. How many times? What is your own personal record for saying one more question?
I mean, I think I do it. We do 4 shows a week. I probably do it 75% of the shows. So
awesome.
Whatever that math is.
I just love it. Oh, by the way. Real final last question. I'm going to show Viel McIlrath here in a couple of seconds. I want to put it sort of frame to frame to another one, Probert McSorley from a million years ago. What did you think of Viel McIlrath last night? Now you're talking about your fights.
I honestly didn't see it.
Oh, dude, do yourself a favor.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it. It's one of these.
I saw the clip.
It's a fade back to center. It's a fade back to center, and it's long.
Yeah,
you know, like
everyone was saying, like fight of the year, right? I don't know why I didn't click on it. I gotta go back and watch that.
From me to you, my gift to you. I encourage you
Thank
to
you.
do that.
Appreciate
Whatever you have going on tonight. You're the best, my man. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, Jeff. Love you. Later.
Jonny Lazarus, the one and only, one half of the awesome morning cup of hockey, the complement to the afternoon cup of hockey, I should point out. What do you think? Is that one going to stick, Zach? The afternoon
cup of hockey. No,
I don't know why that's funny. I have no idea why that's funny. I just maybe because I didn't expect it.
Yeah. Of all the jokes that you've told, that one, and I tell you they're bad, that one that I just threw out there, that's at the bottom of the list. But I don't think.
I've given you
the middle of the day.
Lately.
Yeah.
At my age, I just want a talking frog. Like that's a good joke, man. Come on.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Towards the end of the season, we'll just start telling jokes here on the program. In the meantime, mention that Viel McIlrath fight. And the one thing I thought of, whenever I think of marathon fights, I always think of Bob Probert. And I was watching this one last night, and I was thinking to myself, okay, so what does this one kind of remind me of? And it's more like the hostility was there. But I want to go sort of screen to screen. Yes, Tommy T, he said sheedy cup of hockey. Yes, he did.
I did. I did. Regretfully.
That's all right. And so I want to go sort of split screen here of Viel and McIlrath last night. By the way, I met Viel. He was playing for Acadie Bathurst in the Memorial Cup, the 100-year anniversary in Regina, and he was like a really skilled player. They won the Memorial Cup, his team did. Noah Dobson was on that team. And I remember I met him, and I met his dad. And trust me, like, Viel comes by his toughness, honestly. Really, really honestly. He's a tough dude. Also, like anyone who makes it in the NHL, I don't care what your role is, skilled guy. In junior, that guy was tough and skilled. Don't ever lose that idea that you just make it to the NHL just by being tough. No, it's not even close to true. Anyhow, so here is split screen, and we'll sort of chat over this here, Zach. This is Viel and McIlrath from last night, along with another long one, and that is Marty McSorley and Bob Probert. That one would have been from, I want to say, 84. McSorley was playing for the Pittsburgh Penguins at that point. Bob Probert was still with the Detroit Red Wings. And like McIlrath and Viel goes on, and Viel's given up some weight here and given up some size. McIlrath is a killer. The thing about McSorley and Probert, these are like top 3 guys doing it at that time. And I remember working with McSorley on Sportsnet a million years ago when Marty was with us. And I go out to dinner or go out for a drink with Marty afterwards, and I would just bore him with a million questions. And I asked him about some of the Probert fights. And imagine this, like as you're seeing this, like these guys are going everywhere. He said one of the things that Probert liked to do, and he had some doozies with Craig Cox as well. Probert, as he would love guys that could go on and on and on, because Probert would get stronger as the fights went on. He told me that the whole time Bob was talking,
psychotic, by the way.
Yes, I know. But the thing is, imagine this, Zach, everyone in the chat, everyone listening, everyone watching. as this fight is going on, Probert is telling Marty, now let's go over here and show them the fight. Like, he would take, like, his partner, like, around the rink. Like, oh, they haven't seen, let's go into this corner now. Oh, now we're going over here. Like, there was so many Bob Probert fights where he would do that, like, drag the guys sort of all over the ice. Like, okay, let's go to this corner now and fight. These guys need to see this. Now let's fade back to this corner. These guys want to see this. That was Probert. Maybe the best to do it of all time. Now, that Probert McSorley fight went on forever. Like, that's one of those ones where, you know, you go back into the room after and you've thrown so many punches that the trainer has to cut your shoulder pads off because you can't, like, even lift up your arms.
Yeah. It's a minute 40, like, start to finish, and I set them right at the beginning of both fights so that we could play that through like that. So, like, a minute 40 run time on the full McSorley fight. And it honestly, one of the funnier parts too there, Jeff, at the end, well, it's like that's going on, which I would have no idea about, which is hilarious. Let's go over
Bob
there.
would talk the whole time.
Like, you're a
Hilarious.
nut job. Like, that's insane.
Bob, so
and
tough,
then
dude. And such a nice guy. God,
the
he's a
refs,
nice guy.
if you notice the refs, they're following the whole thing, right? And then you see them, they'll be like, oh, now do we go in? And then they're standing there.
You know,
and then it's like they both look at each other, and it's like, we could stop.
No.
And then they move 2 feet over to the other side, and then they start dancing across the ice.
Yeah.
And the ref's like, no, I can't do it. I can't break this one up. And then they just start chucking again.
Well, and that's why so many of the guys, you've heard me make this joke before. There was a linesman by the name of Kevin Collins, who always had the reputation. Like, the way that it works, you've heard me talk about Kevin Collins before. You know, guys like Marty would hate Kevin Collins because Kevin Collins, like, the way to do this as someone who's a liney is, because the referees don't break up the fights, as we all know. It's the linesmen that break up the fights. You have to do it at the same time. Both guys, like, you pick your guy that you're going to grab onto, and you have to do it at the same time. Because if you just grab one, there's going to be trouble. And the thing about Kevin Collins always was, he was the linesman that got overly excited about breaking up fights, and it cost guys like punches in the face, broken noses, cuts, scar, whatever. That's why all the guys were like, Collins is working the lines tonight. Yeah, we're not fighting because we're not gonna take the risk. By the way, as we're talking about this, the best linesman, and I think he's writing a book now. Last time I talked to him, he was talking about writing a book. The best linesman I ever saw breaking up fights was, and he's recently retired, like, it's not that long ago, Jay Shares. Remember Jay Shares? Jay Shares, who, so strong. Jay was so tough. And you talk to guys who had fights and had their fights broken up by Jay Shares. Shares had this thing. Yeah, I see you, John Bencard, story time with Gramps. I know, here we go. Gather around, everybody. Jeff's talking about Jay Shares breaking up fights. But he would, like, grab you and he would do this squeeze on your arms. And, like, you would watch guys, like, go limp. Because he was so, now mind you, it's the end of a fight, but still, like, he would grab both arms, and then Shares would do this, like, squeeze, and you could see guys, like, buckle, like, okay, yeah, the fight's over. Like, when Jay got the hooks in, like, there was no one. Like, you've seen officials get manhandled a little bit, like, pushed around, like, I'm gonna. When Shares got you, that was it. The fight was over. Shares was the best at breaking up fights.
So that AHL fight that we watched where the guy, like, did the karate chop on the hands and got free and chased the guy down, that wouldn't be happening with Shares. That's what you're saying.
Not on Jay Shares' watch, hippie. Not on Jay Shares' watch. He's got the hooks in you. You are done. All right. Hey, something we should probably do here. We have a new partner here on the program that we're really excited to have aboard. Because I thought a lot about this afternoon. And it's something that they had a lot of fun with on the morning show, and we're going to have a lot of fun with here. And with that, we want to present the Crispi Inbox. By the way, the email address is thesheet@thenation network. We'd like to welcome aboard the Ninja Crispi, ninjakitchen.ca.
Meet the first of its kind. The Ninja Crispi Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. So you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
Okay, so here's my question. So I'll get to the tag here in a second. So I would put like sweet potato in that. I'd put broccoli in that. I'd put cauliflower in that. Can you do corn on the cob in that?
I think you can do pretty much anything. Like, I got my parents a Ninja 2 years ago. The amount of stuff that they've told me that they've cooked in that is unbelievable. You'd not imagine that you could be air frying things. And this is basically just like a condensed portable version of it, to my understanding. So, like, it's got to be able to do that.
Travel with that. But my question is corn on the cob. That was the one, because I'm like, I'll throw asparagus in that. That'd be cool. Corn on the cob is the one. Now, it is an all-in-one system that includes 4-quart, 6-cup Tupperware glass containers and 2 storage lids. The Ninja Crispi is thermal shock resistant and can go from frozen to crispy in minutes. With the Crispi powered, you get the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hands. The 4-quart container fits 4 pounds of chicken or veggies. Cook a personal-sized meal in 7 minutes in the 6-cup container. Max crisp, bake, air fry, and re-crisp with the Ninja Crispi. You can prep, cook, and store anything from Crispi's favorites to one-dish meals. Visit their website in the link in the description and stay tuned for a chance to win a free Ninja Crispi for one of our lucky fans. Very much looking forward to that. Now, we've rebranded the inbox to the Crispi Inbox. All right? Yeah. The sheet at the Nation Network is the email that you send to the Crispi Inbox. What do we have today, young Zach?
This one comes.
You read it.
Good timing there about the fights. Hey, Jeff and Zach, watching scrums/fights freaks me out for a reason never really brought up. I saw a scrum/fight the other night in a game, and I saw that the gloves were off and players were down with other players still up and the linesmen around them. Watching it freaks me out, thinking of all the exposed hands on or near the ice with all the skates going on around them. I never really hear about these kinds of injuries, but it seems like it should happen all the time. Why doesn't it? And are the players and refs/linesmen just inherently aware of bare hands on the ice? Or are the players just insanely lucky? Also, the women are smarter than the men. There should be face masks out there. Thanks for everything.
I don't disagree with that at all. That's true. First thing, I think players are sensitive to it. I think players are aware of it. I think even growing up in minor/youth hockey, I know on one of my kids' teams, one of his teammates, this would have been when they were like 7 or 8 years old, one kid lost almost half of his finger in the dressing room, getting stepped on as they were just playing, which is absolutely horrifying. I just saw his mom not too long ago, and he's doing fine. This is my years later, but absolutely horrifying at the time. This is by the way, one of the reasons why you're not allowed to kick goals into the net. Did you know that? Like this is the reason why. Like, you can kick the puck anywhere. You can kick the puck to a player in the neutral zone. You can kick the puck soccer style. Oh, look at this great pass. Oh, Mitch Marner's doing it behind his back. Look at this. This is awesome. Like, you can do that everywhere except kicking the puck over the line. And that is because they understand that, there's a lot of bodies in front of the net. And the last thing you want people to do is essentially to swing their feet that have knives on the bottom of them. Right? Like, I think we've all thought about, like, well, why can't you just kick the puck in there? Like, just leave it. Direct kicking motion. Who cares? You put the puck in the net. So what? Didn't come off your stick. Who cares? You got it in the net. And the main reason is they don't want these injuries to happen. I think players are really, really sensitive about it too. And I've thought about it as well. And you really started to, I'm old enough to remember when they didn't have like the short cuff glove like they have now. Like, gloves used to, let me get a good shot. Gloves would go down to like here on you, like almost like halfway up your forearm. Like, you go to the Hall of Fame and go look at old gloves. Like, you're like, holy smokes, how do they move their wrists? Now it's all wrist mobility, short cuffs. And I always think to myself, that's a lot of exposed flesh. There's always a lot of exposed skin. And when everyone's down and around the crease, I think that there is a sensitivity amongst players about that happening. You watch when a player gets cut, how a lot of guys will freak out right away. And almost like, okay, stop the game. This is a serious cut. Like, everybody stop. But that's the reason why they don't allow kicking. They don't allow kicking the puck into the net, because they don't want to encourage. And you know what the other one is? Here's another one for you. While we're on this tangent, it's more Gramps Tell Stories. So once upon a time, there was a movement around the NHL at one of the managers' meetings about getting rid of the gate at the bench.
Yeah.
Because you open the gate, it's really, really dangerous. The idea was players could just jump over the bench and jump back on. And the reason they didn't do it was they didn't want blades that high in the air. Now, it does happen, but they don't want to encourage like blades that high in the air coming on or going off the ice. They would like the blades as often to stay on the ice. So I don't know if that answered the question, but when I think about skates and cuts and blades and things, those are the things that come to mind. It gets imperfect when it comes to changing. Make the argument. Do you want blades in the air or do you want gates opening? Both can lead to disaster. It's just one of those, as we say, costs of doing business. Assumed risk. There's no really 100% safe way to do it. It's one of the things that is most unique to hockey that doesn't exist in other sports, the ability to change while the play is going on. I think this is something that, a quick tangent, I think this is something that we don't pay enough attention to as a point of differentiation between hockey and other sports, right? This doesn't happen in basketball. This doesn't happen in football. This doesn't happen in this does not happen in other sports. I remember talking to the original play-by-play voice of the Birmingham Bulls, and I said, like, you know, when the Toros went to the Bulls, WHA story, when the Toros went to the Bulls, because it was a virgin market, like fans really didn't know hockey, what did the fans love? And I expected him to say, well, it's a WHA, so it's like bench clearing brawls, big fight, long hair, back scratching slap shots, all that kind of stuff. That's what I expected. And he said, you know what fans went crazy for? I said, what's that? He goes, line changes, especially wholesale line changes. I said, why? He said, you don't see that in other sports. Players would leave the surface and the fans would go, what are they doing? Where are they going? And then others would come on. And if it was a wholesale line change, if they come on in perfect formation. And he said, you never see it. And you Canadians take this for granted because you just sort of grew up around it. But imagine if you've never seen a sport where you change while the game is going on, because that's what you have in hockey. And that's one of the reasons why, if I can wrap this story up here, as wordy as it might be, that's one of the reasons why I hate it when I see players deliberately throwing pucks at the bench to try to get a too-many men on the ice call. I'm like, don't wreck one of the most unique things that this sport has to offer just so you can get a 2-minute power play. Like, I don't know that we go as far as the little lacrosse box. I mean, you would know that one better than I would, Zach.
That's what I was going to say.
But that is so unique. Like, the ability to change while the play is going on, so unique to hockey that we all take it for granted because we just sort of grew up with it. But other sports don't do that. And we don't pay attention to it.
It's hard. It's like, again, I think I said this the other day, but something is like the damned if you do, damned if you don't situation with changing stuff. You go, okay, you can strictly go over the boards. Now you probably increase likelihood of that injury being the case. Yeah. I don't think it's as prominent of guys going over onto the ice, but if you're going to have guys coming off the ice in a hurry, jumping over the boards every single time into the bench, risk of guys on the bench getting hit, risk of guys who are near you changing while you go off the ice, that kind of stuff, it can increase.
Risk of the coach. Like, risk of the coach leaning in to yell to someone as someone jumps onto the bench.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's what you need. I think the best way would just be the lacrosse box. Experience that. It's like very, very rare that you get any kind of injuries coming out of that. It's not non-existent, but very rare. But also, if that, just a quick thing on that, the wholesale line changes. Lacrosse is one where, you ever get wholesale line changes.
Yeah, it's cool.
Because you get one guy who carries the ball, all 4 other guys go off the court,
it's so
floor,
cool.
Whatever you want to call it, and then 4 guys come out running, and then that's how the change happens. Those ones are fun. But,
I love it.
I don't know. Damn if you do, damn if you don't.
I know. I don't know if that is a thorough enough answer. Kind of went on a couple of tangents there, but there it is. The sheet at thenationnetwork.com. Your way to get into the Crispi Inbox here on the show. Tony Andrikaitis covers the American Hockey League and is excellent at it. He's one of the best. Him and Patrick Hoffman. Like, there's some really, really good ones out there. And he put out a picture from the Toronto Maple Leafs Flickr of Ryan Reeves. My kid, my 2012. I'm going to sound like a douchey hockey guy. My 2012 was at this game, Zach.
This is today, right? This morning.
Yeah. My 13-year-old was at this game, and there's a picture of Ryan Reeves. Now, visors are mandatory in the American Hockey League, although Revo here is going with the Uncle Leo old AHL style with the visor popped up. Now, a couple of things come to mind. First of all, technically by the AHL rulebook, as Tony points out as well, that's a violation. But still, I think we're all going to sort of look the other way on this one. But more story time with Gramps here. Remember in the OHL when they made this mandatory, there was a coach by the name of Bill LaForge, the late Bill LaForge. Maybe you've heard me tell Bill LaForge stories before. If not, get Jason York on the program, and him and I will just swap Bill LaForge stories, and your jaw will drop. Or maybe get Shane Corson on, because he had Shane Corson as well. So Bill LaForge hated it, that they made visors mandatory in the OHL, and he didn't like any of his players to be wearing the windshield. And so what LaForge did with all of his players is he instructed the trainer to get all the helmets, put visors on as mandated by the Ontario Hockey League, but file the end point down to a sharp point of the visors. So when you're fighting any one of his players, as you punch the visor, it would slice your hand open. He got caught doing it. He got fined and all that. I said, okay, well, fine. So he said, all right. As if that's not bad enough, Zach. This is what the OHL used to be. You put the visors on, get extra long screws. And instead of screwing it from the outside in, screw it from the inside out.
Oh, my God.
Bill
that
LaForge.
one is nuts.
Bill
Like
LaForge.
the visor's
LaForge.
brutal, but...
So they got like Frankenstein
Thinking of
screws
punching into the...
sticking out of the helmet. This is the same guy that put body bags in the Guelph dressing room for the Kitchener. Todd Warner told me the story. Kitchener Guelph playing in a playoff series. Joe McDonnell, who's now the head amateur scout with the Dallas Stars, would have been the coach of the Kitchener Rangers. And all the Kitchener boys are going into the Guelph arena, and they go into the room, and McDonnell says, like, get out of here, boys. And Todd's like, what's going on? And he had, like, it was a really rough series, had body bags on all the stalls. And body bag thing, like, hanging in the rafter. Can you imagine? Now, 2025, kids walking into a room and the other team's coaches put body bags in the room, in your stall.
It's hilarious. I love it. But no, I cannot imagine
Old
that happening
school.
today. Yeah.
Bill LaForge. How did we get on this topic? We're talking about the ninja.
I remember when the
Ninja
NHL
Crispi a second ago. It was all fun, and we're going to make cauliflower and zucchini.
Yeah, corn.
This is great. Now we're talking like Frankenstein helmets and body bags.
Remember when Leo had to do it at first where they weren't allowed to tilt the visor, and then every time he would be on the bench and like putting it up and then falling down and like, oh, that was so funny. And then finally, I think the NHL was just like, all right, what are we gonna do here? Rantanen has the crazy tilt right now, tilts as well. I don't know if you've noticed that. Rantanen's is all the way up.
Old junior hockey style. Okay, so how many games do we have on the go? Last night was boffo for games. Last night was a lot of fun. I paid specific attention to that Montreal game. God, that was good. That was so awesome. St. Louis and Detroit. Ovechkin scoring again, now 4 goals away. With that, the games tonight, as always, our friends, our partners, our pals, at FanDuel, proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. The sheet is powered by FanDuel, home of the same game parlay. Make every moment more on FanDuel. The Minnesota Rangers facing off against the New York Rangers at MSG. I don't think Minnie's going to fall out of this thing at all, but they kind of been mid for a while. Rangers trying to scrap here with the Montreal Canadiens and to get themselves a WC2 spot. And Gabe Perreault makes his debut for the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. No pressure, kid. Washington, Carolina face off against each other. Shades of the old Southeast Division. Frederik Andersen started, still no Jordan Staal in that one. Alexander Ovechkin 4 goals away from the record. The Florida Panthers facing off against your Toronto Maple Leafs at Scotiabank. So at Scotiabank, you're going to be busy tonight.
Yeah. I am. This is good. This is an interesting one. I was watching the morning take, and they were like joking about what my show could potentially be like tonight. Yeah. This could go many ways, Jeff.
I thought Carter Hutton was particularly strong today on Morning Cup of Hockey, talking about your Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yep. I'm excited for it. Look, you got an opportunity here. You played a playoff-style game on Saturday against the Kings, and the big boys showed up there, especially in the third period. If they do that, they've got a chance for success, but I don't think anybody, myself included, thinks that that's going to be something they sustain, and tonight's another opportunity to test that out. Because Florida's not going to take their foot off the gas here against you tonight, and they're going to be pissed off about another loss last night.
That was a tough one. That was a really tough one for Florida to endure. Anyhow, Colorado, Chicago, the United Center, Seattle, and Vancouver. Filipino likely done for the season. That is a drag for the Vancouver Canucks. What a season that has been. This is, there are just some seasons where you say to yourself, they got to write a book about this season. When it comes to the Vancouver Canucks, I don't know who they are. Someone's got to write a book about this season.
Do you think we find out what's happened? Like Pierre even said it on Monday on the show. He's talking about the Vancouver situation and stuff, and it's like, well, we don't know. Like, we don't know. Yeah, they didn't like each other. It caused a beef. Do you think that this is something that ever comes out, or like in typical hockey fashion, is this tucked away and we just remember that they didn't like each other and they couldn't figure it out, and that's what happened in Vancouver?
I think eventually we will. I don't know that it's going to be anytime soon.
Yeah.
You do get the feeling that if it is going to come out, it's going to be Elias Pettersson telling the story more so than JT Miller. Does it ever happen? Does it ever what was the beef? Because it's got to be more than just like a little personality clash. And both went from, denying it to sort of sheepishly saying like, yeah, okay. Yeah, we didn't get along. Even though the coach and the captain and the former coach all, I don't want to rehash the whole thing, but I mean, we all know that there was, major issue between the two. But again, the only point that I was making is like some seasons deserve a book. Yeah. That season deserves a book for the Vancouver Canucks. Just like this year's Ovi Chase deserves a book. Goal by goal. Tarek Al-Bashir, I'm looking your direction. I'm going to give you summer project. Write a book about this season, Tarek. He was great on Morning Cup of Hockey, by the way. Yeah. Anything more we need to go over? So I want to mention someone here at the end.
No, that was going to be it. Oh, unless you want to talk about quiet 30-goal seasons. That was the only other thing we had prepared for today, but we can also hold off on that.
Park that until tomorrow. Because I do want to talk about quiet 30-goal seasons. I really do, because there's some interesting names, and I actually have a point about one of them, and that's rare. So we'll save my brilliant point for tomorrow. Okay, in the meantime, right. Want to offer condolences to the McCurdy family. Many of you have read the work of Bruce McCurdy, The Cult of Hockey, in the Edmonton Journal. Bruce, I never got to meet personally. He's someone that we years ago would DM every now and then. When you read Bruce McCurdy writing about hockey, maybe you followed him on Twitter X, maybe you read his work in the Edmonton Journal. I don't know about you, but I always got the sense that I was, sitting with a wizened person, someone that has seen a lot, someone that has a huge frame of reference, and someone that has an understanding of hockey, and specifically the Edmonton Oilers, all mixed in with an understanding that we're talking about hockey here. Bruce was one of my favorite Edmonton Oiler follows. He had a lot of friends, and a lot of friends of people that work in the NHL now. He was widely admired and respected, and was fun, and as I understand it, always had a great smile. His son, Kevin, tweeting out today, this will be the hardest thing I've ever had to write. Last night, shortly after the hockey game, the Oilers game, and this tweet was written. That was his dad tweeting out, "Never in doubt," #never in doubt. That was Bruce. My father, Bruce McCurdy, experienced a medical emergency and became unresponsive. My family called 911, and resuscitation efforts were performed to the maximum extent possible. He was transported to hospital. Unfortunately, despite the valiant efforts of St. Albert Fire and Rescue and the medical professionals at Sturgeon Hospital, my father passed away. On behalf of everybody here at the Sheet and the Nation Network, certainly, this is a company that's headquartered in Edmonton. I know this one will hit hard. Offering condolences to Kevin and the entire McCurdy family. May peace come to the McCurdys not soon enough. Bless Bruce McCurdy. You'll be missed, sir. You'll be missed. Thanks for joining us on the show today. If you enjoyed that video, and we certainly hope that you do, please hit the subscribe button right there here at Daily Faceoff. I will put this lineup up against any hockey lineup anywhere. It all gets underway at 9 o'clock Eastern with Morning Cup of Hockey. That is Jonny Lazarus. That is Colby Cohen. Then at noon, it's DFO Live. And then 3 o'clock Eastern, The Sheet. Get caught up on everything in hockey.